Why do we feel so tired all the time? Not just physically tired, but mentally drained. Not the kind of tired that sleep easily fixes, but a deeper fatigue that lingers even after a full night's rest. Many people wake up already exhausted. The body moves, the day begins, but something inside feels heavy. Motivation is low, focus is fragile. Small tasks feel overwhelming, and no matter how much we rest, scroll, or distract ourselves, the tiredness doesn't fully go away. This kind of exhaustion is incredibly common today, and yet many people blame themselves for it. They think, I should be stronger, I should be more motivated. Everyone else seems to handle life better than I do. From a Buddhist perspective, this way of thinking misses the point entirely. This tiredness is not a personal failure. It is a symptom of how the modern mind is being used. In today's world, we rarely allow the mind to rest. Even when the body stops moving, the mind continues to work, planning, worrying, comparing, replaying, anticipating. We are always on, always connected, always responding. The Buddha never spoke about exhaustion in terms of productivity or burnout. He spoke about restlessness of the mind, a state where the mind cannot settle, cannot be satisfied, and cannot stop reaching for something else. This restlessness, according to Buddhist teaching, quietly drains our energy. We often believe that tiredness comes from doing too much, but Buddhism suggests something deeper. We are tired because the mind is never allowed to stop wanting, resisting, and reacting. Modern life constantly stimulates us. Screens, notifications, entertainment, opinions, news, all designed to capture attention. We confuse stimulation with energy. We drink coffee, scroll through feeds, binge content, hoping to feel refreshed. But stimulation does not restore the mind. It excites it. And excitement without rest leads to exhaustion. From a Buddhist view, true rest is not about sleeping more or escaping responsibility. It is about allowing the mind to return to a natural state of stillness, a state we have largely forgotten. The Buddha observed that the mind becomes tired when it is constantly pulled outward. When attention is scattered, energy is depleted. When desire never rests, peace becomes impossible. This explains why so many people feel tired even during moments of leisure. Watching something, scrolling, or multitasking may feel relaxing on the surface, but the mind is still consuming, still reacting, still processing. There is no real pause. Another cause of deep fatigue is emotional resistance. We resist discomfort, boredom, sadness, uncertainty. We tell ourselves we should not feel this way. We try to fix, avoid, or suppress what arises. Resistance consumes enormous mental energy. Buddhist wisdom teaches that what we resist persists and drains us. What we allow softens and eventually passes. This constant inner struggle is exhausting. The Buddha did not teach that life should be easy. He taught that suffering increases when the mind fights reality. The same is true for tiredness. When we are constantly trying to be somewhere else, someone else, or better than we are right now, the mind never rests. We live in a culture of becoming. Be more productive, be more successful, be more confident, be more fulfilled. But we rarely practice simply being present, being still, being enough. From a Buddhist view, this endless becoming is one of the greatest sources of exhaustion. This video is not about blaming modern life or rejecting it. It is about understanding the cost of constant mental activity and remembering that rest is not something we earn, it is something we allow. In this series, we will explore why the mind becomes tired, why rest often fails to restore us, and how Buddhist wisdom offers a deeper form of rest, one that renews energy from the inside out. You will not be asked to believe anything. You will not be asked to change who you are. You will simply be invited to notice what the mind is doing and what happens when it is finally allowed to slow down. If reflections like these help you feel understood, calmer, or a little less alone in your tiredness, you are warmly invited to subscribe to the channel Buddha Flash. Here, we share Buddhist wisdom, calm reflections, and gentle guidance for people who feel mentally and emotionally exhausted in a fast-moving world. From a Buddhist perspective, exhaustion does not begin in the body. It begins in the mind. The Buddha taught that the mind becomes tired not because it works too hard, but because it never rests in contentment. It is always reaching forward, resisting the present moment, or replaying what has already passed. This constant movement quietly drains our energy. To understand why we feel so tired all the time, we must look at how the mind spends its energy. 1. Constant wanting never lets the mind rest. In Buddhism, one of the main causes of suffering is craving, or tanha, the endless desire for something more. We want more security, more success, more comfort, more certainty. Even when our basic needs are met, the mind keeps searching. There is always something to improve, fix, or achieve. This wanting may feel motivating, but it is deeply exhausting. The mind rarely pauses to say, "This is enough for now." Because wanting never ends, satisfaction never lasts. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another appears. The mind stays in a constant state of tension, leaning into the future, never settling into the present. From a Buddhist view, this endless reaching is one of the primary reasons we feel mentally drained. 2. Always becoming, never being. Modern culture encourages us to always become something better. We are taught to optimize ourselves, our habits, our productivity, our mindset, our bodies, our careers. While growth itself is not harmful, the problem arises when the mind is never allowed to simply be. The Buddha observed that when the mind is always becoming, it cannot rest. It is always measuring itself against an imagined future version. This creates a subtle but constant pressure. I am not enough yet. I should be further along. I will rest when I get there. But there is no final there. This endless self-improvement cycle quietly consumes enormous mental energy. The mind is never at ease with itself. Over time, this leads to deep fatigue, even if life looks successful on the outside. 3. Restlessness, the mind that cannot sit still. In Buddhist psychology, restlessness is known as uddhacca, one of the mental hindrances that disturb inner peace. A restless mind feels uncomfortable in silence, seeks constant stimulation, jumps from one thought to another. When restlessness is present, stillness feels unbearable. The mind reaches for distractions, phones, noise, entertainment, not because they bring joy, but because they prevent us from feeling how tired we truly are. Ironically, the more we avoid stillness, the more exhausted we become. Restlessness keeps the mind moving even when the body stops. Without moments of mental quiet, energy is never restored. 4. Why multitasking drains the mind. Modern world celebrates multitasking. We are encouraged to do more in less time, to divide our attention across multiple tasks. From a Buddhist perspective, this is deeply draining. The Buddha taught that scattered attention leads to suffering. When the mind is pulled in many directions, it becomes fragmented. No single experience is fully lived, and no true rest occurs. Multitasking gives the illusion of efficiency, but it comes at a cost. Reduced presence, increased mental tension, faster exhaustion. When attention is unified, energy is conserved. When attention is divided, energy leaks away. This is why a single task done with awareness can feel nourishing, while hours of distracted activity leave us depleted. 5. Emotional resistance is exhausting. Another major source of fatigue is emotional resistance. We resist stress, sadness, anxiety, uncertainty. We tell ourselves we should not feel this way. We try to push away uncomfortable emotions or replace them with positivity. From a Buddhist view, resistance requires constant effort. It keeps the mind tense and alert, always fighting what is already present. Acceptance, on the other hand, uses far less energy. When we allow emotions to exist without judgment, they move naturally. When we fight them, they stay and drain us. This does not mean giving up or becoming passive. It means recognizing that acceptance is not approval, it is clarity. A moment of insight. From the Buddhist perspective, feeling tired all the time does not mean something is wrong with you. It means the mind has been working without rest. The good news is that the same mind that becomes exhausted through constant effort can be restored through stillness, awareness, and letting go. By now, we've explored a different way of understanding why we feel so tired all the time. Not just physically drained, but mentally worn down, emotionally thin, and spiritually disconnected. From a Buddhist perspective, this exhaustion doesn't come from doing too much alone. It comes from living out of alignment with our own minds. The good news is this: fatigue is not your enemy, it's a message. In Buddhism, suffering is not a punishment, it's a teacher. And chronic tiredness is one of the clearest teachers we have in modern life. 1. Stop fighting fatigue. Learn to listen to it. Most of us treat fatigue like a problem to eliminate. We drink more coffee, we push harder, we scroll longer. We tell ourselves, just get through today. But Buddhism invites a radical shift. What if exhaustion is asking for understanding, not resistance? The Buddha taught that awareness transforms suffering. When we stop fighting our experience and start observing it, something subtle changes. Next time you feel deeply tired, instead of asking, "How do I fix this?" try asking, "What is this tiredness asking me to see?" You may notice a mind that never rests, a constant sense of urgency, emotional labor you never acknowledged, a life lived mostly in reaction, not intention. Fatigue often arises not from lack of sleep, but from lack of presence. 2. The power of doing less on purpose. One of the most challenging Buddhist ideas for Western culture is non-striving. We are taught more effort equals more success, more productivity equals more worth, more activity equals more meaning. But Buddhism teaches something quietly revolutionary. Peace does not come from adding more, it comes from letting go. The Buddha himself left a life of extreme luxury, then rejected extreme self-denial. He called his path the middle way, a life not driven by excess or deprivation. Applied to modern exhaustion, this means doing fewer things but with more attention, saying no without guilt, allowing pauses without labeling them as laziness. Rest in Buddhism is not indulgence, it is wisdom in action. 3. Mental rest is deeper than sleep. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired. Why? Because the mind never stopped running. Buddhism distinguishes between physical rest, sleep and stillness, and mental rest, freedom from constant craving, worrying, and replaying. Mental exhaustion comes from living in the past, regret, living in the future, anxiety, rarely living in the present. The Buddha taught mindfulness not as a productivity tool, but as a return home to the present moment. Even simple practices can restore energy. One conscious breath before checking your phone, feeling your feet on the ground while walking, eating one meal without distraction. These moments may seem small, but they interrupt the endless draining loop of unconscious living. 4. Compassion is an energy source. One overlooked cause of exhaustion is how harshly we treat ourselves. Many people live with an inner voice that says, "You're behind. You should be doing more. Others handle this better than you." Buddhism teaches metta, or loving kindness, not as sentiment, but as strength. When you offer compassion to yourself, the nervous system softens, the mind releases tension, energy stops leaking through self-judgment. Try this simple reflection. I am tired because I am human, not because I am weak. Compassion doesn't make you passive, it makes you sustainable. 5. Letting go of the endless why. Another hidden drain on our energy is the constant search for meaning through overthinking. Why am I like this? Why can't I keep up? Why does life feel so heavy? Buddhism doesn't ignore these questions, but it warns against getting trapped in them. The Buddha taught that liberation comes not from answering every why, but from seeing clearly what is happening right now. Sometimes the most healing act is to stop analyzing and simply be, to breathe, to feel, to allow the moment to be enough. 6. A different definition of strength. In modern culture, strength looks like endurance at all costs. In Buddhism, strength looks like knowing when to stop, knowing when to let go, knowing when enough is enough. True strength is not burning yourself out for approval. True strength is living with awareness, balance, and kindness. When we stop measuring our worth by output, something profound happens. Energy returns naturally, not as adrenaline, not as pressure, but as quiet, steady vitality. 7. Tiredness as the beginning, not the end. From a Buddhist view, feeling tired all the time may be the first step to waking up. It may be your life gently saying, slow down, come back to yourself, live with intention, not exhaustion. You don't need to escape your life to feel rested. You need to meet it with awareness. And that meeting, that moment of presence, is where peace begins. If this reflection resonated with you and you're seeking calm, clarity, and wisdom for modern life, consider subscribing to the Buddha Flash channel. Each week, we share gentle Buddhist insights to help you slow down, breathe, and reconnect with what truly matters. Before you go, we'd love to hear from you. How do you think is draining your energy the most right now? Your schedule, your thoughts, or your emotions? Share your reflection in the comments. Your experience might help someone else feel less alone.